Hello guys, welcome to another palette review. Today we're gonna dive into new Pat Mcgrath Labs Mothership Bijoux Brilliance Starstruck Splendour Blush and Eyeshadow Palette. Before we continue, I wanted to mention that I have full in-depth review of the whole Bijoux Brilliance collection that I will suggest for you to watch first if you haven't. That one will break down everything you need to know about this collection. But if you are interested to see this eyeshadow palette specifically and the look that I've created today, then please keep on watching. Now this palette contains 9 eyeshadows and 2 blushes. And as I already mentioned in my initial video, these eyeshadows are made in USA, blushes are made in Italy, and they were all assembled in Dominican Republic. And also they're having different expiring dates. Blushes are having 18 months shelf life while the eyeshadows have 12 months shelf life. We're having existing blush which is Nymphet, and then we have this new blush which is called Coral Cosmos. What I also mentioned is how I think that inconvenient is the fact that we do have different expiring dates within one eyeshadow palette, because usually when I know one is expired, I just wanted to know that I cannot longer use it and put it aside. So for that reason, I think it's impractical. In general, talking about this palette, it has been priced at $76. I wouldn't say it's too bad for considering what the brand is. I wouldn't say it's too bad because we do have 9 eyeshadows and 2 blushes, but the question comes, what type of eyeshadows? No wonder that her original motherships, they have bigger price. First of all, we are having the luxurious packaging, which here we have this cardboard, and I am not a big fan of it when it comes to maintaining your packaging, especially if you are working on a field, like if you're working as a makeup artist, where her packaging from Mothership, it's easy to maintain. It's just what it needs to be for it to be maintained. There is a reason why her Mothership palettes are expensive, and it's not just packaging, and it's not just her special shades, which are the factor for the price to be higher, but also her mattes. These mattes are different. So in general, this palette is, I would say, I don't want this to come out in a wrong way, but it's like a imitation of the real Mothership, where she can lower the price. That being said, I'm not saying these eyeshadows are bad. I'm not saying these eyeshadows are not blendable or that they are not pigmented, but they're definitely not on a level that we are used to have that eyeshadow quality in the Motherships. Now, with that everything being said, I did not have issue blending this, but as you will see through this tutorial, I do prefer the pigmentation and the application of her other eyeshadows, and those are made in Italy, and that's one of the reasons why I'm more excited to test her 5-pan eyeshadow palettes than this bigger palette that she came out with. Again, for the 9-pan eyeshadow and 2 blushes, the price is not too bad, but there we have 10. I would rather have those 10 eyeshadows for the price that it is, over $100, than having everything in here. Even if I have like 4 blushes or 12 eyeshadows, I would still rather have the Mothership palette. Now, one shade that I was really excited about, even online and now in person, if it's just, this is gonna sound crazy, but if it's just for this one shade, this is the shade that I would love to come back to this palette, and that is Don Divinity. Out of them all, not the greens, not this first like shifty duochrome shade, this one. So I just wanted to throw out some general info before we start this tutorial, but I will continue this discussion later after the tutorial when it comes to this palette. And now let's go check this eye makeup look. Oh, and also the blushes. Before we start, I do wanted to mention that today I do have Pilou's base on my eyes. I finally repurchased her base. This is one of my all-time favorite bases for the eyes. Besides the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, that one I really did love to use on my clients. Speaking of Pilou's, I do have their newest eyeshadow palettes, and I just want to show you how this opens. So you basically have a key and you have to open it. I know it's not the most practical thing, but probably gonna be reviewing this one tomorrow. And when you open this book, it's like it has 2 sides. And there were two choices, and this is the choice that I made, because in total they were like four eyeshadow palettes and 2 of these books. So this color story really resonated with me, and yeah, I can't wait to try this one. Anyways, let's go to today's Pat Mcgrath Starstruck Splendour eyeshadow palette. So I'm thinking for today I will focus mainly on the greens. The mattes will be the middle one in the first row, Dawn Divinity, and then Forever Nude. That's going to be my matte. I don't think I'm gonna come for the third one. First, I'm gonna start with Forever Nude. Take the excess off, because as you can see, we are gonna have quite a fallout. I will apply this one right into my crease. This shade is a little bit lighter than the other one. Not the second one that I'm going to use, because that one is the perfect medium, beautiful transition shade that I love. That's the definitely favorite shade from this palette when it comes to matte. So basically I am going into my crease, and I will connect with the darker base already that I have on my eyes. I did went with the Danessa Myricks Groundwork palette, just a little bit to add up dimension to my eye. As you know, if you're watching my videos, you do know how much I prefer that type of eye look, but of course you always can skip that part, but it will give you different results, especially if you are doing something that is much more neutral. I will also try to lift this color as much as I can towards my eyebrow. When it comes to lightest shade in this palette, the only light shade that we have is this first one. Shifts gorgeously, and it is light on one hand. On the other hand, when it shifts, it's a bit darker, so it's not perfect light shade, at least not for my skin tone. That's what I have, that's what I'm going to use. Anyways, let's move on. Let's move on to my favorite shade today, and that is Dawn Divinity. I love this shade. I know I said that a couple of times already. I realized in general, I do love the color. I do love colors, right? But I do lean more towards the cool tone eyeshadows. That's just my personal preference. I'm building up this color, mainly focused on the other portion of my eye, but I will connect this one definitely with the previous one as well. I will go a couple of times more. First time I swatched this palette the other day, when I swatched the entire collection, and I went to these 2 mega palettes. In general, the mattes in there felt a little bit drier, and I instantly realized, of course, this is different formula than her original mothership. I was skeptical the way it will blend, because not even the feel of it or the swatching, it wasn't the best. But now when I do apply those eyeshadows, I do realize they don't have that full impact as her mothership palettes, original mothership palettes, but you have to kind of build them up. That being said, they are not hard to work with. I'll say these are much more easier to work with than those eyeshadows. They do have full opacity. I don't mind those. Like those are, I'm leaning more towards those, but maybe for majority of people, this formula would work even better. That's my opinion. I'm gonna take clean blending brush just to work a little bit on my edges. This is the new brush that I'm trying from Pillows. This is her 143 small blending brush, and I will use this one. This is so good for this area right here. Yeah, I just started to testing this one and I really loved it. Like, it's picking the perfect amount of the product, and the area that you're working with is so small, but this brush being detailed, it helps so much. So good. I can even use this one to concentrate my color on specific areas like this. Now I want to take small flat brush, and I will use Balanced Moonstone shade. I'm thinking, should I damp my brush first, but as I can see, this one, so pigmented. This is not my perfect color for the brow bone area, that's for sure. But this one will go beautifully with the rest of the makeup, especially if you're applying this one on the inner corner, something like that. It does have like a minty green reflects inside, so we'll go beautifully with the greens as well. Now I'm about to apply Emerald Eclipse shade. And I did use my finger now for this because here I'm going to cover its pretty large area. Like I said in my initial video, these two black duochromes, black based duochromes that she had in both of these big motherships, they don't emphasize your skin texture that much as some of her other duochromes that she has. Now I'm going to pick the same shade on my brush and work the edges. I will leave that color right here pretty high. And now I have to try to blend everything in. Now I wish I had here a little bit darker matte shade. We do have one, but just because it's a bit different undertone, I did not want to use that one. Maybe I'll go with it, we'll see. I'm going back with the Dawn Divinity a little bit. You know what, let me just apply this Celestial shade. Because honestly, I'm not too happy how this transition went. And also I will connect the first shade, Opalescent Moonstone. It's definitely different texture, and this shade will go so beautifully with these greens. It is such a, that have such a strong pigment, you guys. Now it looks like everything is green. But I most definitely miss a bit darker matte shading here. I do. You know what? I decided to go with Mythic Majesty shade. I do need a darker transition here because this black based green is a bit darker than my transition shade. It should have been like way more darker base underneath when it comes to mattes. And I will apply that matte on my outer corner as well. And now again with a Dawn Divinity, I will sheer that shade around. This base is really picking up the product. You know what, let me apply my Inglot's liner to see what am I going to get. I'm gonna go with this shade on my lower lash line, apply some more base. Now I will go with this shade right here first. Now I'm going in with this minty green shade. Yeah, it's really strong. I'm just basically repeating everything that I already applied, just going now backwards on my lower lash line. I'm going in with a little bit of pomade from Groundwork palette. I really do miss something deeper in this palette to combine with this type of a green. So I finished this look by applying some lashes, and I did experiment with the mascara. I'm gonna show you what I've done. Now when we talked about this red mascara, which is in Renegade Red, I do have it on my lower lash line, and let me tell you that it's not that crazy. It all depends how you incorporate it. I'm guessing this is the least favorite mascara when it comes to color choice, what she offered for this holiday, but I managed to apply 2 coats of this mascara, and then I transitioned this one from the red one, mixing it with the black one on the edge. But now when I think about it, the other thing I could have done, mix this one with the green. Maybe I'll do that the next time. So now I have transitioned from red to black, and again, it's giving a little bit of a color, a little bit of a twist, but it's nothing too crazy. Anyways, I didn't apply my bronzer yet. I did apply my foundation, concealer, and corrector. And now for my bronzer, I'm gonna go in with the Forever Nude palette, which is the lightest palette from the collection. Last time I tried the bronzer from the second palette. I love that one, but during winter, this is definitely gonna be my go-to when it comes to depth. And this is so subtle, so natural. Looking really, really good, I have to say. Beautiful. Like I already mentioned, I will do test of all of these 3 face palettes. And now let's go with the blushes. Let me again just do the swatch. So we do have Nymphette and Coral Cosmos. Just because of the demonstration, I will apply Coral Cosmos, which is new blush, assuming a lot of you have already Nymphette blush. I think it's one of the bestsellers, I think. But a lot of people said they really do love that one. In a pan and on a swatch, it looks really vibrant, and it is vibrant, but this color story makes sense whenever I am doing kind of a green or emerald type of a makeup look. I always do love to use rosy undertone blush. So this is how one coat of this blush looks like. Really bright in a pan, pretty bright on a swatch, but looks really beautiful on the skin. I will apply one blush on one side, other blush on the other, just so you can see what you're gonna get. I am currently building up same blush, and when you build it up, you can get real pigment, and for me this is too much. It is too strong, and building this one up, it's definitely something I don't like, how vibrant it gets. I just love to apply it just a little bit to add a color and a tone. Let's go with the Nymphette. As you can see, Nymphette is much more toned down than this one, being a bit vibrant. Okay, one thing that I've just realized, I can't believe I haven't realized this even on a swatch. Nymphette is having like a gold small reflective glitters inside. And the Coral Cosmos is actually matte. Well, I didn't have Nymphette, so that's the reason. Well, I didn't try Nymphette up until now, so that's something I did not realize. I wish this was a matte color because it's gorgeous, and I can always add up on top of it something like a highlight. So for that reason, I'll say I prefer this one. So I would love if this one was matte. But you know what? It works good if you're going to apply it just on your cheekbones, which I'm going to do now. But if I apply it all the way where my contour and bronzer is. And now for my highlight, I will use Opal Allure from the Forever Nude palette. And that is actually highlighter that I used in my first initial video. I just felt like the other two were too deep, but again, like I said, I will test the other palettes as well. And this one is much more gold toned, and this one is much more pinkish. So while applying that highlighter, it's not going to match what we have in this blush. Anyways, I will finish off my face and I'll be right back with you. Now these are going to be my today's final thoughts when it comes to this certain palette after I had first impressions, and now after I tested this palette for this look. Even though this is beautiful, I'll say beautiful look. Is it exciting? Is it something that wows me? It's not. Besides the fact that I really loved Dawn Divinity shade, these are 3 shades that I haven't used. Internal Bronze, Fawn Fantasia, and Serene Sienna. These are beautiful bronzy shades, but I haven't reached out for these shades today. I feel like these are typical brown/bronzy shades. I wanted to test everything else that was kind of a bit out of the regular range that we have from her. But again, after testing this palette, it's not something that I was too excited about while testing it, to be completely honest. Now I'm thinking, what was the reason why I expected more? Of course, I'm everything going to compare when it comes to from Pat Mcgrath. I'm everything going to compare toward her best products. Even now with the last of motherships, I know people complaining a lot about the color story, and everybody's comparing mostly the first 3 mothership color story that she came out with, which are more artistic, creative, and really unique in a way. And I think that is something where my final thoughts are backed up with today. Again, for all of you that are having this Nymphette blush, you're gonna get it in here. So maybe if that's not something that exciting for you, then there will be one more reason for you to not buy this palette. The price is pretty much low compared to some other products that she have. When we think about how many of the products do we have in here, because at the end you do got 2 blushes in here, and for the overall price of the palette. Again, it is a good price, but again, I would rather buy texture-wise and quality-wise, when it comes to my personal preference, any of the Mothership, even though I have to pay bigger price. And that's my personal opinion. You're not gonna struggle blending this eyeshadow. That's one good thing in this palette, especially if you are a beginner. You have to build them up, and it's going to make your job actually easier when it comes to blending. So that's something that, or even if you are using this on a daily basis, that you will appreciate. For me, personally, again, not too excited about it. And the packaging isn't something that I liked. I can always care less about the packaging when it comes to print, but when it comes to practical design, like I said, for the maintenance, I didn't like this cardboard. One good thing in here is that you really do get this full-size mirror. It's great. Like this is stunning, like having this size of a mirror. It truly is. One thing that I've realized when I was applying eyeshadows from this palette, when I went with the shimmer before the mattes, it didn't blend well as when I went with the matte and then with the shimmer, which usually it's not an issue. Usually I do apply lighter shade before, even though it's matte or shimmer. But yeah, so this one blended better than this side where I applied shimmer first, which is weird. I don't know why. I'm guessing it's the eyeshadow texture and formulation. One thing I do miss in this palette is the lighter shimmer. This one can incorporate good, but it's not light enough. And this green, actually, it's too light, or this matte is too dark. Combining the darkest matte and any shimmer eyeshadow from here, so this one is not deep enough. Not even this to combine it with this green. I mean, it looks beautiful, but I cannot get any depth. It's just like it's leveled out. And I'm not impressed with that. Obviously you can do different type of looks, but combining these mattes with that deep of a green, I would rather go with the lighter one. I didn't want to do that, unfortunately. It's kind of a compromise with what you're gonna get when it comes to depth in this palette. Now, this palette maybe will be different. This one I will test next. And I already can tell that this one is probably gonna be a different story. This was my personal preference with the color story, but I'm thinking maybe I'll lean even more towards this. And I did apply Amethyst Noir on my initial video, and that shade is stunning. I loved it. Maybe I'll enjoy this one even more. We'll see. One more thing, I was thinking to maybe, I don't know if that's even necessary, but I was thinking maybe to do video in the same video comparing these two palettes. Is that something you would like to see? Let me know in the comment section down below so that I know what can I create for you, because my goal is to, in a way, answer the most questions that I can for you and bring you the videos that would really enjoy and answer your questions, and at the end of the day, enjoy those videos. Let me know if you got this palette, what was your experience with it? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. Before you leave, make sure to watch this video where I explain in-depth whole Bijoux Brilliance collection. I break down all of the swatches and everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Thank you. Bye.